To work on this technique, you need to know a bunch of different stitches, and I'm going to show you how to make all of them in this video. I'm also going to go over how to change color at the beginning of a row, because that's something we do after every row in a mosaic crochet project. So every alternate row is the same color, and you change color after every row. I'm going to go over all of that in this video, and I'm not going to focus on the details of making a foundation row or how to bind off, because this is an intermediate level technique, and I expect you to know all of this before you start working on this project. But if you do not, that's completely fine. I'm going to put some links in the description below so that you can follow my other detailed tutorials that I have for those things specifically. So let's begin by making a 14 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I'm going to make the foundation row stitches in the back bump. So I'm going to turn this and find the back bump of the stitch, yarn over, pull through. And I'm going to do that for every chain. So I should have a total of 14 loops on the hook at the end of the forward pass. So here we are at the end of the forward pass. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 loops on the hook. And I'm going to make the return pass by doing a chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I've stopped here when I have 2 loops on the hook, and that is because I'm going to change color now, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But before I do that, I'm going to show you the anatomy of a Tunisian crochet stitch, which is extremely important. So here you can pick any stitch. So I'm going to just pick this one. So here you can see that for a stitch, there are 2 bars. There is this front vertical bar, and there is this back vertical bar, and there is this return pass chain. And you can see that this back vertical bar is visible from between that return pass chain and from below it. So here, if you follow this is the front vertical bar, and then it goes all the way in here. You can see that it's right here in between that return pass chain and under that chain. So this is important because I'll show you how we're going to make the stitches, and you need to be able to find this back vertical bar from between this chain. Now I'm going to change color, and now that I've stopped with 2 loops on the hook, I'm going to pick up my other color and then pull through. So that completes the foundation row, and we also changed color at the beginning of the row. This might be a bit hard when you do it for the foundation row, but it gets easier as we go further, and I'm going to show you how that is. But there's one thing that I wanted to point out is that in my earlier mosaic projects, I would pull this loop to a close, not too tight, but I've found that in this technique, in Blackwork technique with Tunisian mosaic crochet, it is important to leave this loose. So try to not get in the habit of pulling on this after you change your color. It took me a while, but I still do it sometimes, but I try to leave this loose because, as I said earlier, you'd have to pick up stitches from inside this return pass chain, and that's when it becomes important to have this loose. Now I'm going to show you how to make a Tunisian simple stitch. That's the first stitch that you need to know for this technique. And the way we make it is, so the first loop on this hook here, that is the first stitch or the edge stitch. So we're going to leave it alone. We're going to find the front vertical bar of the next and pick that up, yarn over, pull through. That's a simple stitch. I'm going to do that for every stitch here. And I am here at the end now. This is my edge stitch, so I need to find the two vertical bars at the edge, pick them both, yarn over, pull through. And this is the forward pass of row 1, of row 2, so the one after the foundation row. So here, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 until there's 2 loops on the hook. So now I have 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to pick up the earlier color, that was the bear, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through. See, I'm not going to pull on this to close this return pass chain. I'm just going to continue working on the next row. The next stitch that I'm going to show you is how to make extended simple stitches. So it is a simple stitch, but it is extended with a chain. So it is taller than a regular simple stitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and make another row of simple stitches. This is just so that I can show you the technique with the gold color. So I'm going to go ahead and make a row of simple stitches and then show you how to make the next stitch. Here we are. I've completed another row of simple stitches with this bear, the white yarn. Now, now I'm going to show you how to make extended simple stitches. So that is one stitch so that is the next stitch that you need to know. So an extended simple stitch is a simple stitch which is extended with a chain, and the height of the stitch is taller than a regular simple stitch. So I'm going to begin by making 4 simple stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 simple stitches. I'm going to now make an extended simple stitch, and how I do that is I make this stitch in the same color as the yarn that I'm working with. So I'm working with the gold. I'm going to make it in the same color, which is the gold here, 2 rows back. So all mosaic designs, you would, if you're making extended stitches, if you're making long stitches, they will be worked in the same color as your current row. So if you're working with gold, your stitches will be worked in a row below, which of the same color, which is a gold row. So the way we make an extended simple stitch is we insert our hook like we were making a simple stitch, but 2 rows below, instead of in the white, I'm going to make it in this gold here, then yarn over, pull through, and then I'm going to chain 1 to give it that extra height, and that is an extended Tunisian simple stitch. But for this technique, I'm going to do this slightly differently. Instead of picking up just the front vertical bar, I'm going to pick up both the front and back vertical bars. So the front vertical bar is right here. We already saw that. Now I'm going to pick up the back vertical bar from between that return pass chain. So you see here, this is the return pass chain. You can see a hint of this back vertical bar. So I'm going to pick this and this to make my extended simple stitch. So here, I'm going to insert my hook right here, and it's actually not that difficult. You'll see that if you insert your hook in this chain right here, it naturally picks up that back vertical bar. It takes some practice, and there are times that you might split the yarn, but for me, because I've made so many squares already, this has sort of become second nature now. It's my hook automatically picks up that back vertical bar. So there's that back vertical bar and the front vertical bar. Now yarn over, pull through, and then chain 1. So that is an extended simple stitch, which is the A stitch in the Sona blanket pattern, and that's how it's going to be made. So I'm going to show it to you again. I'm going to make 2 simple stitches and then a extended simple stitch or the A stitch by inserting my hook in between that return pass chain. When you pull that up, it automatically picks up that back vertical bar, the front vertical bar, yarn over, pull through, and then a chain one. So you can see that the height of these extended stitches is double than a regular simple stitch. And we need that so that we can work these overlaid stitches and create those Blackwork designs. I'm going to make 4 simple stitches and end this row. And this is how it looks. So you can, if you need extra practice of these stitches, you can make as many as you want. I just made 2, but you can make more, or you can add more rows and practice these stitches as you go. Now for the next set of stitches, which are B stitches, I'm going to make a row of simple stitches with the white, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to make the B stitches. I have completed a row of simple stitches. Now let's talk about the B stitches, which are extended double crochet stitches or extended double stitches. So just like earlier, I'm going to start with 4 simple stitches. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to make a B2 stitch. So the way I remember this is, so a B stitch is a Tunisian double stitch, and the 1 and 2 will identify the tilt of the diagonal, so the angle that you're making it at. So for the way it helped me remember this, because it got really confusing in the beginning as I was developing this technique, is to figure out which direction to go in and what I should call them. So anything that has a 2 is worked towards your crocheting hand. So if you have a B2, then it is worked towards your crocheting hand. So here, this is the stitch, next stitch. So for B2 stitches, you will count 2 stitches towards you. So 1, 2, and 2 rows back, 1, 2. So this is where you will make your B2 stitch. So again, you make sure to count from the next stitch, not where you are right now. So here is the next stitch. You go 2 towards, 1, 2, and 2 rows back, 1, 2. Now here is where I'm going to make my B2 stitch, and I'm going to make that just like before. I'm going to make it by picking up the back vertical bar from between that return pass chain. Right here you see that return pass chain. You pick up the back vertical bar and the front vertical bars, and that's where I'm going to make it. And I'm going to make a double crochet stitch here. I'm going to extend it. So here this will be where I'll make it, and here it is how it goes. So for a double crochet stitch, I'm going to do a yarn over. That's how it begins. And here is the stitch where we're going to make that. So you insert your hook, pick up the front and back vertical bars, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So that completes a double stitch, which is what we wanted to make, but we're also going to, because it's a diagonal stitch, we need a little bit of extra height. So we're going to do a chain 1 to extend it. We don't want to make sure that there's enough slack in the stitch so it doesn't pull on the fabric. And that completes a extended double stitch. Now there's one more detail that I want to point out before I move further. So the extension that I made, now the next stitch that I'm going to make is going to be this one over here. So you can see that this stitch here will be a ghost stitch. There'll be, will not make anything in here. I'm going to skip it. So that will be visible in the front. So instead of leaving it just like that, what I do is I anchor these diagonal stitches with this stitch. So instead of just doing a chain to extend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook like I were making a Tunisian simple stitch, yarn over, pull through that, and chain. So that does two things. That anchors the stitch right here, and it creates the extension. So you can see that you won't have this one ghost stitch right here. And if you wanted to see how it looks, just create a few of these diagonal stitches without anchoring them, and you can see the difference. When I started developing the technique, I did it without anchoring, and it works out. I don't have a sample from then, but it works out. But you can, at some point, for some designs, you can start seeing these stitches, and they bothered me. And when I started anchoring them like this, it worked out really well. So, okay, a recap here. There's a bunch of things that I talked about here. So you are going to make your extended double crochet stitch by going two towards and two rows back. You're going to make a double crochet stitch, and then you're going to make an extension, and you're going to anchor together. So you can go back and see how that's done in this video, but these are the 2 or 3 things that you need to remember: where to make the stitch, which stitch to make, and where to anchor it. So that's B2. I'm going to make 2 simple stitches, and I'm going to show you how to make B1. So B1 is the exact same thing, except that you are going to make a different tilt. So this is tilted like this, that one will be tilted like that. So you identify the stitch where it's going to be made. So again, this is important. Remember to count from the next stitch. So here is the next stitch. So you go 2 further and 2 rows back. So right here, this is where we're going to make our B1 stitch. So we begin by yarning over, inserting our hook, picking up the front and back vertical bars, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2. And now we're going to anchor this into this stitch here. So this can get a bit tricky. Please use a stitch marker if you need to, if you are unable to identify which stitch to anchor them in. Which stitch to anchor this with. So what I do is I use my hook and move this way, and here I found my hook, my stitch where I need to anchor it. So I insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. So that created the extension, and it anchored the stitch right here. So that created a B1 stitch. And again, it is very important to remember to have these stitches a little loose so they don't bunch up the fabric. And then I'm going to make 4 simple stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a edge stitch or the last stitch, and then complete this with the return pass. So here we have these A stitches, and this is a B2, this is a B1. And now I'm going to show you how to make the C stitches, which are long diagonals. So for this, I'm going to make 3 rows of simple stitches. I'm going to make the next one with bear, then the next with gold, and next with bear, and I'll show you how it looks. You'll know why I'm doing that once I show you how to make the C stitches. Here I am after creating 3 rows of simple stitches. So now I'm going to show you how to make the C stitches, which are long diagonals. Let's begin by making 4 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, to make a C stitch, we are going to use a treble stitch, an extended treble stitch. Now, a C stitch is longer than the B stitch. So B stitches are 2 rows tall, but C stitches are 4 rows tall. You will be making them in 4 rows back, stitches that are 4 rows back instead of 2. So again, you would always be working in rows of the same color as your current row. So I'm working with gold, so I'm going to work in gold, but these are long diagonals. So instead of 2 rows back, I'll be going 4 rows back. So for a C2 stitch, again, we're going towards. So start counting from the next stitch. You'd go 2 towards and 4 rows back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is where I'm going to be making this stitch. So it always helps to pick the stitches and the two bars and pull them a little bit, especially with the C and D stitches, because you'll see how they get a little hard to work with. So you just pull them a little so you know which ones to pick up. Now you yarn over twice to make a treble. You yarn over twice, and then you pick up the back and front vertical bars of the stitch that you identified. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we are going to extend this, and the extension and anchoring is going to happen together. So I'm going to insert my hook here, yarn over, pull through, and pull through that one as well. So that is a C2 stitch. So 2 towards and 4 rows back. Now I'm going to show you how to make the C1 stitch. I'm making 2 simple stitches, and then here again, counting from the next stitch, you go 2 further and 4 rows back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we are. It is helpful to find the 2 vertical bars and just pull a little so that you know exactly which ones to pick up. And then yarn over twice and pick up the front and back vertical bars. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then move this, find this vertical bar, yarn over, pull through 2. That completes a C1 stitch. So you can see that these are long diagonals, and the angle is not as like this. There's a different angle. So these are stitches that will be used in the Blackwork designs in this Sona blanket. I'm going to complete this by making 4 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the edge stitch, and then complete the return pass. Here we are. So here's A, B, and C stitches. Now I'm going to show you how to make D stitches. So for that, I'm going to create 1 row of simple stitches with this bare or white, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to make the D stitches. Here we are. Now I'm going to make the D stitches. So starting with 4 simple stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these stitches are also extended trebles, but the angle is different. You're going to make them in 2 rows below, but 4 rows before, 4 stitches towards or further. So here, let's start counting from this stitch right here. So I'm going to go 4 towards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 rows back. So here, 2. This is the stitch where we're going to make this in. So I find that making the D2 stitch is the hardest. So I usually pick out the front and back vertical bars and have them pulled out a bit so that they're easy to pick up while I'm making the stitch. And you see it's hard here to find this because the first one after the edge stitch, these are always hard to find. So here, so you could actually put a stitch marker here, or so I'll show you a couple of ways to do this. Let's see, let's just begin with this one. So I pulled these a bit so they should be easy to pick up. So I'm going to start with yarning over twice, and then here I'm going to pick up this back vertical bar and the front vertical bar, and then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then here is this next stitch. So I'm going to insert, yarn over, pull through, and anchor and extend at the same time. So you can see how this is looking. So this and this, these are the same stitches. They're extended trebles, but this is worked 4 rows below and this one's worked 2 rows below. So there's that difference. I'm going to make this again and show you another thing that you can do. So you can always also start with 2 yarn overs and then use a different hook to pick the 2 vertical bars and then pick that yarn over, pull through, and then put this back on the hook. So you can use another hook to make this stitch, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then anchor and extend together. So you could do one of 3 things. You could not pull those vertical bars. You could just, as you're working through your design, you can insert your hook directly and find the 2 bars and pick them up. If that is hard, you could use a hook to find those vertical bars and pull them up and leave them a little loose so that you can pick them up easily. If that is also not possible, you can use this hook to actually pull the yarn through so that you can then put that loop back on your hook and work that way. So I hope that was clear. So there's those 3 options. I find that this one is one of the hardest to make. This and the D1 as well. I'll show you what why I think that one's hard. So now 2 simple stitches and then a D1. So this is the next stitch. So counting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and going 2 rows back, 1, 2. So this is where I'm going to be making the D1 stitch. So yarn over twice and pick up these 2 bars, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now I need to anchor this right here. So it becomes hard to find a way to move everything out of the way and then insert my hook here. So this is why I find this one is hard. So the D stitches are the hardest for me. It took me a while to get used to making these. So here, insert hook, yarn over, pull through both. So here we go. There is a D2 stitch and here's a D1 stitch. I'm going to complete this by making 4 simple stitches. And an edge stitch, and then I'm going to complete the return pass. Change color again. So here. So these are all these stitches that you need to know. You need to know simple stitches, extended simple stitches, extended double stitches, and extended treble stitches. So that's A, B, C, and D stitches. Now there's one more thing I want to show you, which is how to combine these stitches. So there will be times where you'll be working where you have 2 or more of these stitches which are worked together. So I'm going to make a row of simple stitches and come back and show you how to do that. Okay, here we are. Now I'm going to show you how to make combination stitches. So the first one that I'm going to show you, which I think is really important because we use a lot of this, is the AB1. So these stitches are written with dashes in between them. Just remember that when you're combining stitches, you're only adding 1 loop on your hook at the end of that combination. So if you are making a combination of 2 or 3 or up to 7, there could be up to 7 stitches that you combine at once, and you would only add 1 loop to your hook. So I'm going to start with an AB1. So AB1 is you'll make an extended stitch here, an extended simple stitch, and then you'll make a B1 stitch right here. So for this first A, I always like to pull up the front and back vertical bars because the first ones are always hard. So here we go. And so insert, yarn over, pull through. So that's a simple stitch. I'm not extending it just yet. So I'm going to hold on to this loop. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a B1 stitch. So yarn over. It's right here. Insert my hook, pick up the 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that completes my double stitch. I still have to extend these, I have to combine these, and I have to anchor these. So all of these three things will happen together, and I'll show you how. So I'm going to, this is the hard step. So you need to find that stitch where you're going to anchor these. So it's right here. There is this stitch where you need to anchor. So you're going to move this yarn out of the way, insert the hook, yarn over, pull through that, pull through the, so that anchors the stitches, or that's the point where they will be anchored. And then you pull through this double stitch that created the extension for the double stitch, and another, you made the extension for the A stitch. So this one step achieved three things. You anchored the stitches, you combined the stitches, and you made an extension all at once. So that's how an AB one is made. And I think this one is the trickiest. So what I recommend is I found that sometimes I find this stitch hard to locate for anchoring. So I could pull it just like it was pulled, but you could also use a stitch marker and hold on to this. Now, when you make your A stitch here, make sure that this stitch marker is right here. So yarn over, pull through, that makes the A stitch without the extension. And then for the B1, you yarn over, insert hook, pull up this, make that double stitch without the extension. And now here is your stitch marker with the stitch, so you know exactly where to anchor them, right here. So I'm going to remove this marker now, and then yarn over, pull through 3. So you added 2 loops here, and then there was that. So with this, you can see that even though I created 2 stitches, I combined them and only 1 loop was added to the hook, and these are anchored here and they're extended. Everything happens together. So that's how you combine these 2 stitches. I'm going to create some simple stitches. So I created 3 simple stitches. Now I'm going to show you how to make a B2, B1 combination. So a B2 is made 2 here, 2 here. So this is where you'd create your B2. Now you see that there's a stitch that is already in this spot, and that's okay. You will just you'll just pick up the 2 vertical bars. It actually makes it easier, so you don't have to find these bars anymore. There's a stitch already made there, so you'll make this stitch here. So that would be a B2, and a B1 will be made right here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So yarn over, pick up the vertical bars, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Do not make the extension. And then for the B1, now do not make the extension. So I have this B2, I have the B1. Now I'm going to move these out of the way, find this spot where I'm going to anchor them, yarn over, pull through all 3. So there we have a B2, B1, which is combined, and that's the stitch. Now I'm going to show you how to combine 3 stitches, and the technique is the same. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you so that you know how it works, and that would be the same for 4, 5, 6, and 7 stitches. So let's do a B1 and D1. So an A stitch without the extension, a B1, without the extension, and a D1, it's a treble, and now I've added these 3. I'm going to make the extension and anchor at the same time. Now yarn over, pull through this, and we're combining 3 stitches, so we're going to pull through 3 more. And here there is an a B1, and a D1, all of them extended, all of them anchored, just completing this row with simple stitches. So here now we've learned the stitches. This doesn't look like much right now because we're not building the fabric in the background. I promise it looks a lot better once you start building the fabric along with these stitches, and that will happen in the swatch that you make. So, but it is important to practice this. It will not look pretty, but it is important to practice to get the tension even. You can see that these stitches need to be loose. They need to be loose enough that they don't bunch this fabric up, and you need to be able to lay this flat. And this can be hard, a little bit hard, especially with the combined stitches. So make sure you practice. You can create any combination that you want. So just write down a combination that you'd like to make, and just try to make it and see how it works up. And I'm going to make a row of simple stitches and show you how to bind off your project. So I've completed a row of simple stitches. To bind off, I'm going to again do a simple stitch bind off. So I'm going to create a simple stitch, and instead of leaving this loop on the hook, I'm just going to slip through the previous loop. So simple stitch, slip. So this is a slip stitch bind off. I'm going to continue doing this until I reach the end of the row. Here I am, and now here's the edge. And at this point, I can fasten off, cut the yarn, and this is done. I've been asked this question multiple times since I've revealed the blanket, the Sona blanket, and this technique. That how I've been asked, how is this different from the uh, Tunisian mosaic crochet technique that I had used in my earlier cal, was the 2023 one, which was the Zuri blanket. In that, we did not use diagonal stitches, so everything beyond this point was not a part of that. So we only used 2 stitches. That was the simple stitches and extended simple stitches, and we worked them differently. We didn't work them from in between the return pass chain, so that is slightly different here. I strongly recommend you try to pick up the 2 vertical bars from below, between, and above the chain to see what the difference is. But if you didn't want to do that, just know that in this technique we are picking them up from in between the chain, and there's a reason for that, which is that we want to center align all of these stitches as much as possible, so that if we have diagonal lines in the Blackwork design, they need to look like a straight line. And if you this was the best way I found to create these stitches. Otherwise, the lines would look like a series of steps. They're still not as smooth as you would find in a Blackwork embroidery design. That's just the nature of Tunisian crochet, but they're still smoother than if you picked up these stitches from above or below the return pass chain. But I would definitely recommend that you try it to see how that works up. So this everything beyond this point is new for this technique, and the charts are entirely different. So I'm going to show you how to read a chart further in my later videos, but I wanted to address this here, that this technique is significantly different from my earlier Tunisian mosaic crochet technique, which was a beginner level technique, and my Zuri blanket was a beginner level pattern, but this one is intermediate and actually turns into advanced very quickly if you use dark yarn. So that's about the stitches. Now I'm going to once you have practice of these, you can add as many rows as you want. You can practice this as many times as you want, but make sure that you practice them enough so that when you actually make your Sona blanket squares, that's all settled, and you can just just work on your squares without having to worry about your tension.